Do you think you're happy? Isn't that an interesting question? A question that, when posed, instantly causes the mind to dart around in search of a satisfying response, much like a startled squirrel. We search for proof in the filing cabinets of our most recent encounters. The squirrel may return with a heavy sigh, reporting a litany of frustrations, anxieties, and a knowing feeling that something is fundamentally amiss. Or you may say, I had a rather delightful piece of toast this morning. Or the sun is shining, and that's something to be cheerful about. As you can see, the problem starts with the act of asking the question and putting oneself in a position to make a judgment about your own condition. It's like attempting to hold a sunbeam in your fist. The light vanishes as soon as you clasp your palm, leaving you with only a shadow. The same is true of happiness. It is not something to be acquired, a place to reach, or a reward to be obtained. It really eludes you more the harder you try to find it. It is like to a playful imp who takes pleasure in guiding you through the tumultuous landscape of your own expectations. We live in a civilization that has deceived us and is completely enthralled with the promise of the future. From an early age, we are taught to aim high, succeed, and become. We are told that we shall only be given the golden ticket to happiness if we find the right spouse, acquire the right career, buy the appropriate home, and amass the right assortment of glittering items. We are essentially living on a promissory note for a future happiness that never seems to materialize. Consider the educational system. Kindergarten is a prerequisite for elementary school. The purpose of elementary school is to prepare you for middle school, high school, and of course, college. What makes you attend college? To naturally land an excellent job. You desire a good job, but why? In order for you to earn enough cash for retirement. You can finally start enjoying life when you reach the ripe old age of 65. What an enormous joke. As I've frequently stated, a brief life filled with activities you enjoy is preferable to a lengthy life filled with misery. This is our civilization's biggest scam. We never truly live, but we are constantly getting ready to do so. We are constantly planning our next move in the expectation of a reward that is never far away, much like a donkey with a carrot hung in front of its nose. We neglect to taste the meal that is in front of us because we are so busy preparing for the banquet. Therefore, we constantly arrive at the feast of life a little bit late. Now, what should you do if you end up in this situation? What would happen if you had asked yourself if you were happy? And a loud nay is the response that reverberates from the core of your being. My dear friends, the first step is to give up battling it. Quit treating your dissatisfaction as an adversary that needs to be defeated. The more you fight against it and attempt to overcome your worry or melancholy, the more you give it more control over you. It's similar to attempting to use a flat iron to smooth out pond ripples. You'll only make things more turbulent. The very endeavor to be joyful is a kind of stress, a subliminal act of violence that you subject yourself to. The angry I is attempting to turn into a glad one. However, who is the I making the effort? It is a phantom, a ghost, and an illusion created by society. It is the ego, or, as I prefer to refer to it, the skin-encapsulated ego, that enduring sensation of being a distinct, separated entity. And the source of our misery is precisely this sense of alienation. Because we feel isolated from the rest of the cosmos, we experience fear and loneliness. Therefore, realizing the pointlessness of this internal conflict is the first step. There's no one to fight against, thus you can't win a battle against yourself. Only the experience of the here and now exists. Furthermore, that sensation is neither positive nor negative. It just is. Now you might say, but Alan, that's all very well and good for you to say. You're a philosopher. But I have real problems. I have bills to pay, a difficult boss, and a nagging pain in my lower back. Of course you do. To be alive is to have problems. Suffering is an intrinsic part of the human experience. As the Buddhists say, life is suffering. But the trick is not to let the suffering make you unhappy. Unhappiness is a reaction to suffering, not the suffering itself. It is the story you tell yourself about the pain. The resistance you put up against the natural flow of life. Let's take your back pain, for example. The pain is a physical sensation. It is a series of nerve impulses being sent to your brain. That is all it is. But then the mind gets involved. It starts to spin a tale. Oh, this is terrible. I can't stand this pain. It's going to ruin my day. Maybe it's something serious. What if it never goes away? And so on and so forth. And it is this mental commentary, this frantic resistance to what is that creates the unhappiness. So what to do? Instead of resisting the pain, try a different approach. Allow yourself to feel it completely. Don't label it as bad or unwanted. Just be with the sensation. Observe it with a kind of detached curiosity as a scientist might observe a strange new phenomenon. You might be surprised at what happens when you stop fighting the pain. When you accept it as part of your present experience, it often loses its power over you. It may still be there, but it no longer dominates your awareness. This is what the Zen masters mean by chopping wood and carrying water. It is the art of being fully present with whatever you are doing without judgment or resistance. Whether you're washing the dishes, walking in the park, or even experiencing pain, you can bring a sense of mindfulness and acceptance to the moment. And in that acceptance, you will find a strange kind of freedom. There is no greater freedom than the freedom to be what you are now. This brings me to the heart of the matter, which is the importance of living in the present moment. We are a culture that is obsessed with time. We are always looking back at the past with regret or nostalgia, or looking forward to the future with hope or anxiety. We have no present. Our now is just a fleeting infinite decimal hairline between a past that we can no longer change and a future that does not yet exist. But the truth is, my friends, the present moment is all there ever is. It is the only reality we can ever know. The past is a memory, a collection of fading photographs in the album of the mind. The future is a fantasy, a projection of our hopes and fears. But the now is real. The now is where life happens. To be fully alive is to be fully present. It is to be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now. And when you are truly present, you will discover that the ordinary becomes extraordinary. The simplest things, the taste of a cup of tea, the feeling of the sun on your skin, the sound of birds singing outside your window, become sources of immense joy and wonder. But how do we learn to live in the present? It is not a matter of trying to force yourself to be here now. That is just another form of struggle, another trick of the ego. Rather, it is a matter of letting go. Letting go of your incessant need to control everything. Letting go of your worries about the future and your regrets about the past. Letting go of the idea that you need to be somewhere other than where you are. One of the best ways to practice this is through meditation. And by meditation, I do not mean some esoteric practice that requires you to sit in a full lotus position for hours on end chanting strange mantras. I simply mean the art of paying attention. Sit quietly for a few minutes each day. Close your eyes and bring your awareness to your breath. Feel the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. Don't try to control your breath. Just observe it. When your mind wanders, as it inevitably will, gently bring it back to your breath. That is all there is to it. This simple practice done consistently can have a profound effect on your life. It teaches you to be present, to be aware, and to be a non-judgmental witness to your own experience. It helps you to see that you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your body. You are the silent, spacious awareness in which all of these things arise and pass away. Now, I can hear some of you saying, but Alan, this all sounds very passive. How about doing something about it? How about making the world a better place? By all means, take action. Change the world, but do it from a place of presence and acceptance, not from a place of anxiety and striving. The great paradox is that when you stop trying to fix everything, when you accept things as they are, you're in a much better position to bring about real and lasting change. Think it this way. If you're trying to build a house, you need a solid foundation. If you are building on a foundation of anxiety and dissatisfaction, your house will be a wobbly and unstable structure. But if you build on a foundation of presence and acceptance, your house will be strong and enduring. The same is true for your life. When you are grounded in the present moment, You are able to act with clarity, wisdom, and compassion. You are no longer a slave to your reactive emotions. You are free to respond to the needs of the moment in a creative and intelligent way. And what you will discover is that the world doesn't need as much fixing as you thought it did. In fact, many of our so-called problems are of our own making. They're the result of our frantic and misguided attempts to control a universe that is by its very nature uncontrollable. When you let go of the need to control, you will find that the universe has a wonderful way of taking care of itself. The clouds drift across the sky without any help from you. The trees grow and the flowers bloom without your interference. And you, my dear friends, are a part of this same natural process. You are not a separate entity struggling against the universe. You are the universe. This is the great secret that the mystics of all traditions have been trying to tell us for centuries. You're not just a skin-encapsulated ego. You're the whole darn show. You're the Big Bang, the spiral galaxies, the shining sun, and the gentle rain. You're the works. Now, of course, you're pretending that you are not. You are playing a game of hide and seek with yourself. You have put on a mask of a separate, limited individual, and you have become so engrossed in the game that you have forgotten that it is just a game. But every now and then you get a little glimpse behind the mask. You have a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. A moment when the illusion of separation dissolves, and you feel a sense of oneness with everything. These are the moments that we all live for. And the wonderful thing is that you don't have to wait for these moments to happen by chance. You can cultivate them. You can create the conditions in which they are more likely to arise. And you do this by living in the present moment, by accepting what is, and by letting go of your attachment to the ego. Imagine for a moment that you had the power to dream any dream you wanted. You could have any pleasure, any experience you could possibly conceive of, and you could dream for as long as you liked. 75 years of pure, unadulterated bliss, night after night. At first, it would be wonderful. You would fulfill all your wishes, satisfy all your desires, but after a while, you would start to get a little bored. You would say to yourself, "This is all very nice, but it's a bit predictable. I like a surprise. I want a dream that is not under my control." And so, you would start to introduce an element of risk, of adventure into your dreams. You would have dreams in which you were in danger, in which you had to overcome obstacles, in which you didn't know what was going to happen next. And you would find that these dreams were much more exciting, much more interesting than your dreams of pure pleasure. And you would get more and more adventurous, taking bigger and bigger risks, until finally you would dream the dream of the life you are living right now. So you see, my friends, the life you are living is the dream you have chosen. You have chosen the challenges, the struggles, the heartaches, and the joys. And you have done this because you knew that this was the most interesting, the most exciting, the most fulfilling dream you could possibly have. Now you have forgotten that you have chosen it. You are pretending that you are a helpless victim of circumstances. But deep down you know the truth. You know that you are the dreamer of the dream. And when you remember this, everything changes. You are no longer a victim. You are a creator. You are no longer at the mercy of life. You are life itself. And in that realization, you will find a happiness that is unshakable, a peace that passes all understanding. So what does this all mean in practical terms? How do we live this out in our daily lives? It means, first of all, to take a playful attitude towards life. Don't take it all so seriously. It's a game, a dance, a drama, and you're one of the actors. So, play your part with gusto. But don't forget that it is just a part. Don't identify with it too strongly. It means to see the beauty in the ordinary. The world is a museum of wonders, and you have a front row seat. But you have to open your eyes to see it. You have to be present to the miracle of this moment. It means to love without clinging. Love people. Love animals. Love the world, but don't try to possess them. Let them be free. And in their freedom, you will find your own. It means to embrace the whole of life, the good and the bad, the light and the dark. You cannot have one without the other. They are two sides of the same coin. The joy and the sorrow, the pleasure and the pain are all part of the rich tapestry of existence. It means to trust the process. The universe is not a random collection of atoms. It is an intelligent and orderly unfolding, and you are a part of that unfolding. So relax, let go. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be. And finally, it means to be grateful. Grateful for the gift of life in all its messy and magnificent glory. Grateful for the air you breathe, the food you eat, the people you love. Grateful for the simple fact of your own existence. When you live in this way, you will discover a happiness that is not dependent on external circumstances. It is a happiness that arises from within, from your own deep connection to the source of all life. It is the happiness of being what you are. And so, my dear friends, I will ask you the question once more. Are you happy? But this time, I invite you to answer it not with your mind, but with your whole being. Don't think about it.